There's a moment in every story when a reader quietly decides something. Not necessarily whether they like the character, but whether they believe her. Hi friends, welcome back to Author Notes. I'm Tanya E Williams. As I began shaping this new historical mystery series, I realized I had reached that moment. The one that made me pause and ask, is she believable? In the last behind-the-scenes episode, we stepped into the world our protagonist would be moving through. A world shaped by uncertainty, shifting loyalties, and secrets that didn't always stay buried. And once I understood that world, a new question surfaced. If this is the world she inhabits, who does she have to be in order to navigate it? At first, I thought I had the answer. Our protagonist comes from a wealthy family. Her mother is firmly rooted in high society, a woman who believes in appearances, expectations, and the life her daughter should be living. Even as the war stretched on, even as the world was changing, her mother's focus remained largely the same: social standing, proper behavior, and finding the right husband for her daughter. And our protagonist never quite fit that mold. She was raised to smile and nod. She understands what it takes to play the role of a well-behaved daughter, but she doesn't belong there. Not really. Her father, on the other hand, offered her something entirely different. Where her mother emphasized etiquette, he introduced challenge, games. Not the kind you sit down to play for amusement, but the kind that ask you to think, to observe, to notice what others might miss. Chess matches, obstacle courses, clues hidden throughout their estate. Small tests of awareness, of problem solving, of patience. And without realizing it at the time, those moments were shaping something in her, a different way of seeing the world. So when she eventually leaves home, after one argument too many, or after growing pressure to become someone she isn't, she joins the Wrens. At first, I felt like her backstory was enough. By leaving, she had gained independence, she had structure, she had distance from the life she didn't want. And I thought perhaps that's enough to make her believable. But something didn't quite settle. Because there's a difference between a character who is interesting and a character who is credible. And the more I sat with her story, the more I looked at the world she was stepping into, the more I realized something was definitely missing. She was observant. I thought she was capable. But she hadn't yet been tested in a way that justified the risks she would eventually take. And that mattered. Because curiosity on its own isn't enough. Curiosity has to be paired with experience, with consequence, with a moment, or many moments, where stepping forward feels just as natural as stepping back. And for a while, I wasn't sure where that piece would come from. Even as I continued researching, even as the world of the story became clearer, that one question lingered. What had prepared her, truly prepared her, for what was coming? And then I found something I hadn't expected to find. A small piece of history, quiet and easily overlooked. An all-female naval station on the coast of Nova Scotia. Isolated, technical, and important in ways most people never saw. The women stationed there weren't just supporting the war effort. They were listening, recording, reporting. They were trained to understand signals, to recognize patterns, and to act if something went wrong. And if danger came too close, they were expected to defend their post. I remember sitting with that discovery for a moment, because suddenly the gap I had been struggling to close didn't feel quite so wide. And then, not long after, I came across a real account. A woman who had served in a place just like that. Not a big headline, not a widely known story, just a life lived quietly within the machinery of something much larger. And that was the moment it clicked. Not because I was trying to recreate her story, but because it made something feel real. It showed me that our protagonist didn't need to become someone entirely new in order to be capable. She simply needed a past that had already asked something of her. A past that had placed her just close enough to risk, just close enough to responsibility, to understand what it means to act when it matters. And once that piece fell into place, everything shifted. I didn't need to force her into capability. I could see it. I could believe it. She's still the woman who feels out of place at a society gathering. Still the daughter who never quite meets her mother's expectations. Still someone who, at first glance, might be underestimated. But beneath that, she's been trained to notice, to think, and to respond. And that changes how she moves through the world. It doesn't make her fearless. It doesn't make her invincible. But it makes her credible. And for me, that was the turning point. Because this isn't the story of someone who sets out to become something extraordinary. It's the story of someone who finds herself in a situation she never expected and has just enough in her past to rise to meet it. That's the version of her I needed to find. Not perfect, not fully formed, but possible. And once she felt possible, the story began to feel inevitable. Next time, I'll take you a little deeper into how those early threads, her past, her instincts, and the world around her begin to pull her into something far larger than herself. Until then, friends, happy reading. There's a moment in every story when a reader quietly decides something. Not necessarily,